In the last lesson, we saw an example of a project that is quite different from the traditional ones which we have been discussing in the course so far. These non-traditional projects and initiatives in general are less predictable in nature and more difficult to structure and control. Let's now look at the common characteristics of this kind of initiative from a project management perspective and understand what we need to consider when managing them. 1. Detailed planning is not beneficial in advance. All projects deal with future events and there is always a degree of uncertainty. The analysis of risks, assumptions and expectations performed during planning aims to minimize the effect of uncertainties. In some cases, however, the uncertainties are too big or too many to predict all scenarios. Hence, you cannot create a detailed project plan in advance, even if you spend years trying. This is especially the case when something new is being created. A new product, new technology and innovation, research and development initiatives, scientific experiments, the list goes on. Often, you need to see the result from the first steps of the project before you can decide the best way to proceed with the steps that follow afterwards. The reason can also be external to the organization, like waiting for a competitor's move or a regulation, where timing falls somewhere during the project. In such cases, it simply does not make sense to invest too much time and effort in detailed planning. Why plan the details for step 2 when you need the results from step 1 to do it well? 2. Requirements evolve during execution. Even if you produce a detailed plan, the client requirements are likely to change during the execution. In software projects, for instance, the future users can rarely imagine well enough what the system will look like and how they will be working with it. Only when the product becomes real and they start experimenting, users can understand it in practice. This is usually a moment when new requirements emerge, and it could happen very late in the execution. Website design is a classic example. Never in the history of the internet has anyone been happy with the first version. 3. Technology and software surprises. The technical side may include some hidden dependencies, which you cannot catch during the planning. With software projects, you can actually start with building the roof first and not follow the hard dependencies we face in other traditional projects. Furthermore, software code is something quite unique for each software product. Findings often come up only once the technical teams start working on the very details. The combination of different systems, people and expectations is something that often brings new considerations to the project manager's table only after the actual work has started. 4. Professionals from different fields in one project team. In technology-related projects especially, the technical team's perspective may vary from the one of the client, as these stakeholders have different perspectives and often speak different languages. This can lead to output that doesn't meet the exact needs or preferences of the customer. If business and technical teams are not working closely together, the risk of misunderstandings becomes significant. Okay. With these details, it is now much clearer what differentiates these other types of projects and initiatives from the traditional ones. With such uncertainties into the picture, you can imagine it doesn't make much sense to spend the majority of your time planning for something that has a high likelihood to change. A rigid project management framework doesn't seem to be helping us here. Not only that, but it would actually create more difficulties as the constant changes to the plan increase the project bureaucracy. This consumes not only time for documentation and approvals, but also distracts the focus of the project manager, sponsor, and client. The waiting time related to various approvals impacts the project team efficiency and often leads to decreased team morale and motivation. The underlying reasons are that the nature of these initiatives is often in conflict with principles of the waterfall project management methodology. So what to do in these cases? Here is where Agile comes with a solution. Join us in the next lesson where we will introduce the Agile framework.